We've got a lot of Apple stuff to unbox today. Look at this. We've got a bunch of new iPads, and whether you are excited about these new updates or not, I mean, that's entirely up to you. I am very on the fence, but today we have the new iPad Pro. This is officially available for everyone who pre-ordered. You should be getting them today. You could probably go into the store and get one. I think I saw a couple of people just do that. So this is the M2 12.9-inch iPad Pro. Gonna unbox that. We've got the brand new redesigned regular iPad. Still not entirely sure who this is for. I'll save my thoughts for that in just a second. You can go ahead and pick one of these up in stores as well. And then to go with that iPad, we have the new Magic Keyboard Folio, which is probably one of the things that I am most excited about, which is really strange because it's just a keyboard, but I think it's kind of a cool new style keyboard that Apple hasn't really had. It's actually a two-piece kind of, connecting set here. So we'll unbox all of this right now. So let's go ahead and unbox this. We'll move this off to the side. And so this is, again, the M2 12.9-inch. Did I only do one? I only did one. Dan, you should know better than that by now. All right. So here we have it. I got silver. I've been rotating between space gray and silver. The last one I got was space gray. Anyways, here is the iPad. Let's take a listen to the paper that I'm ruining. And right off the bat, it looks exactly the same as last year's. Yay! Nothing has changed on the outside at all. You still get your dual camera setup here on the back. You still get the USB-C port, which is Thunderbolt, which is always nice. Everything is exactly the same. So let me get this set up real quick, because the one thing I do want to show you, which is really the only thing I can show you, is the Apple Pencil hover feature. So I've got the Apple Pencil all set up. I put it on here and I noticed that hover doesn't work, and then it all clicked that your iPad's gonna need an update. You're gonna need to update to iPadOS 16.1. So if you're wondering why it's not working, that is exactly why. So we're gonna download and install that. And while that's happening, because I just don't wanna keep wasting any more time, we're gonna go ahead and unbox the new Magic Keyboard Folio and the new iPad. So this is the 10.9-inch new 10th generation iPad. And so the main thing here about the new iPad is that it's actually completely redesigned to fit with the new iPad Air, the iPad Pros, and the iPad Mini. They're all going to be in this design now. There's going to be no more from here on out being made with that dedicated home button there. You can still get the 9th generation with that old design, but moving forward, Apple is no longer making new iPads that are going to look like that, at least not for right now. And so same way you got into the iPad Pro, you tear open these two right here. I went with the yellow version. There's also a pink and a silver and a blue option, but I thought the yellow was the most interesting one. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a yellow gold, which is kind of cool, I guess. It's very vibrant, but also not vibrant. I don't really know how to describe colors these days. So I have the new iPad. This is the 10.9-inch 10th generation iPad. It's just the regular iPad. And I have it set up, so let's talk about some of the things that are interesting and some of the things that are kind of head-scratching, because there are a couple of things that are a bit head-scratching. And the first thing, let's start with the head-scratching things, because the first thing is the price. This retails for $450. That's incredibly expensive for an iPad, considering that the last gen, which you can still buy, by the way, that still has the older design with the dedicated home button, the larger bezels. That starts for, I believe, $329. And so there's a pretty big price gap for essentially the same performance. Really, the biggest things that you're getting is, you are getting an increase. This is the A15 chip. So, I don't know, iPads have never really been slow for basic functions for me. And even for more intense functions, they're still pretty good. So I don't know if you're gonna notice, a lot of average tasks being slower than the last generation. Really, the biggest thing is the way it looks. And so you can get these bright, vibrant, fun colors. This is the yellow. And so, I don't know, you tell me, is this more of what you were thinking in terms of the yellow that they showed off in the press images, or is this kind of a muted, darker, I don't know, to me it looks goldish. And then you get the bezel-less quote-unquote design, even though there is a larger bezel here than there is on the on some of the other iPads, especially the iPad Pro. The more premium, the less bezels apparently. And then there's Thunderbolt here on the right side or the bottom, depending on how you have it. And that's going to be another topic of a discussion here in a minute, because that's kind of leads to one of the other boneheaded things that Apple did with this iPad. But yeah, so the price point, I mean, I would still, if you're looking for just an iPad, you know, maybe your kids want to use it, or you're just looking to look at some emails and read and maybe, you know, watch some videos, just get the older one. I feel like you can save yourself a lot of money. But if you want this design, some of the benefits that you are getting is that new design. You get the home button, or the Touch ID power button is right here now. You do get a USB-C port here on the bottom. And one of the cooler things that doesn't happen on any of the other iPads, like the new iPad Pro should totally get this, and it's largely in part to the Apple Pencil. This is the 2nd-gen Apple Pencil, and this Apple Pencil takes the 1st-gen, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But the reason why it doesn't use the second one is because for some reason we have a landscape camera, which is great. And a lot of people have been wanting a landscape camera, because now it actually looks like you are talking to you know, the person and looking at them in the eyes and not off to the side, which is where all the other iPads in landscape mode will have the camera off to the left here. And so I'm going to open up FaceTime, because now you can see what I'm talking about. This is not a flattering angle by any means. It does come with center stage, which is cool. So if I'm moving around, it's going to move here. But as you're looking at the bottom of my face and my chins, that's great. You can see that I am actually looking at the camera, and it looks like I'm looking at the camera. I'm looking at the screen, but I'm facing head on. It doesn't look like I'm looking off to the side. And, you know, that's something that's really cool. You have this ability, I'm going to hoist it up here a little bit, to be able to hold the iPad like this. You don't have to worry about covering the camera. So as you can see here, my thumbs are not going to cover the camera. The camera's right there. So that's cool. I like that. That should be on every iPad. I'm guessing the iPad Pro, again, couldn't do it because this is where the Apple Pencil sits. So with this iPad, we're going to talk about the biggest, weirdest thing, and that it's because it uses the 1st-generation Apple Pencil, which I guess is fine if you want to leave the less premium Apple Pencil for the less premium iPad. I get that. But then why did you switch to USB-C? Well, because Apple kind of has to do that on everything. Government regulations that are happening here, and they're just going to choose to do that. So they're moving everything to USB-C eventually. And so this one got USB-C, and now you're wondering, okay, well, you just stick the Apple Pencil in like that whole meme where you're holding a popsicle or a lollipop or whatever, and you're charging it on the bottom here like the other iPads did with the 1st-gen. Nope, not quite, because the Apple Pencil didn't get an update, that 1st-gen. Why would they update that? That has Lightning, and so you need an adapter, which I don't even have because they're not in stores and they're hard to find. Mine's on back order. I'll get it eventually, but I can't even use the Apple Pencil if I wanted to. Because again, it takes Lightning. I need a Lightning to USB-C adapter that's specific for the Apple Pencil. You get that, you plug that in, and then you think you're done, right? You're just gonna stick that in and plug it into, nope. You need a USB-C to USB-C cable to plug into the Apple Pencil and then to plug into the bottom of the iPad. Here's a picture of what that looks like. It looks ridiculous. So yeah. That is one of the weirdest, dumbest things I've ever seen Apple do. It's right up there with the bottom of the Magic Mouse having the charging port so that you can't use it and renders it useless when you're trying to charge and use your computer. And it's right up there with the fact that you stick the Apple Pencil in the bottom of the iPad anyways. If there was a way to do it, I feel like Apple would have. I think there is a way, but they just didn't have time maybe. I don't know. I'm not going to begin to think I understand the feats of engineering. And so obviously they couldn't do it right now, and maybe in the future they will, or maybe you could charge it on the back. But yeah, that's one of the things that's just weird to me. But other than that, I mean, this iPad, it's an iPad. It's going to do all of the basic functions. The screen's not nearly as good as some of the other iPads out there. You know, the iPad Air has a little bit of a better screen, which, by the way, that is $499. And so don't even get me started about the whole lineup. It just doesn't make any sense to me. There's some weirder, I wish they would have kept this at like $350. That would have been, you know, whatever. So the other thing I want to talk about is the keyboard folio. It's the Magic Folio Magic Keyboard Folio is what they call this. And so this is so much better than the last generation. I don't know if you remember it. It had that like weird style keyboard. It kind of felt weird. This is much more in line with the Magic Keyboard that you get for the iPad Pro and some of the other Magic Keyboards for the Mac. It feels the same way when you're typing. You do get a full function row, which is wild to think about because you can't get that on the iPad Pro, but you can get it on the 10th generation iPad. And so up here you have a lock button, you have the your volume and playback controls, go into do not disturb, microphone, search, dim the screen, which is cool. And so you get that with this. And one of the coolest things about this new keyboard is that it actually isn't all one piece. So you can, fold it up, and here you go. You have it in one kind of fell swoop here, and that's cool. You can be on the go, and you got protection for both sides. Here's a kickstand. This is very Surface-esque. I like it because what you can do is put it down here, and then if you don't want the keyboard anymore, maybe you're gonna hand it off to your kids, well now they can just take this piece and they don't have to worry about it. Draw with that pencil that I can't do right now. You can do whatever you want with this, and you can set it up to be however you like. And then if you want the keyboard, the pin connectors are at the bottom. I don't know if you can see that, but instead of being on the back like the other iPads, it's at the bottom, and we can snap it into place, and it works totally fine. And this is a Magic Keyboard test. Honestly, it's a little crammed. It's a smaller iPad compared to the Pro, so like some of these keys here on the right side are just a little smaller than normal, but it feels great. I like that I can use the function row and detach it at any time. This is a cool accessory, and one weird thing about it is I kind of wish that this was available on the iPad Pro. There was a bigger version of this, but you can still use the older Magic Keyboard for the iPad Pro if you want to. With that said, here is the Magic Keyboard for the iPad Pro. It's the same as it was before. You can use any of these if you have one lying around. You don't have to spend $350 on a new one. And the new iPad Pro here is all set up. So let me get this signed in here because I wanted to show you really the only two things that I can show you on the iPad Pro. And one of them is kind of boring. I'm gonna run a benchmark eventually on this and show you a side-by-side. Actually, I'm gonna do that right now. I'm gonna do it later, but I'm gonna show you right now. Here is the side-by-side. Obviously the M2 is a little bit faster than the M1. We know this already. And I don't think this is a reason. If you have an M1 iPad Pro, especially the 12.9 inch, do not upgrade to the M2. And so with that said, the biggest thing here, obviously that I've said a million times, is the hover feature of the new Apple Pencil, or I'm sorry, of the new iPad with the newer 2nd Gen Apple Pencil. If you have that one, it's gonna work. And so as you can see here, I'm just kind of putting my Apple Pencil right above the screen, and it's like kind of acting like a cursor. If you had your Magic Keyboard here and you were doing the trackpad and you were looking at the apps, how it does that little maximizing little, zoom in on the icons. That's what it's doing here. And so right here, you can see up to 12 meters. So here, or 12 millimeters. Here is the 12 millimeter. Okay, so this is about as high as you can get. That's pretty high up off the iPad that you can see your kind of cursor, and you can see it's hovering, and I can kind of get an idea of where I am, and that's huge for graphic designers. You can see where you are and where you're about to touch on the screen, and that could really help take your illustrations to the next level. I mean, this is going to be a cool new way to interact with your iPad and kind of use the Apple Pencil more as like not only a tool for drawing and taking notes, but also maybe kind of a secondary mouse, a better mouse. This is the new iPad Pro. It is the same as the old iPad Pro, except for the M2 chip, the hover feature, and that's really it in terms of big major marquee differences. And so I would love to hear from you in the comments down below. This is just kind of an early unboxing reactions. We'll have a full review here of each device very, very soon. But yes, let me know in the comments which one you might be thinking about buying and why. And if you think I'm out of touch for some of my comments, keep it civil, but go ahead and let me know in the comments down below what you think about everything. And of course, this has been Dan with MacRumors. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you around in the next video.